Okay, thank you everybody for joining us. Once again, we're very privileged to have Rabbi Kahn giving his third of 4 classes. So without further ado, Rabbi Kahn.
Thank you very much. I hope me being here will be a little bit better on the technology point. I hope everybody will be the third class of the 4th series. We're going to talk about Sefiras Ha'omer. The first 2 classes were discussing really what the Korban Ha'omer is, right? Because Sefiras Ha'omer meaning the counting of the Omer. The Omer is a definite, is referring to something specific. So we spoke about that specific thing, the sacrifice of the Omer, and the practical applications of it. About really Sefiras Ha'omer itself. And again, whenever we're dealing with ideas, time periods, we always want to try to look for earlier sources so we can try to find some meaning. Behind it, again, the meaning is always an act, but it doesn't necessarily have a practical application in how we change the way we practices. It just helps us connect with it. Because again, the bottom line of many things is that the reason we do it is because Hashem tells us. So when I look to try to find some meaning behind something, I usually like the Sefiras Ha'omer, and he starts over here that the root al-tzad hapshat, the simple understanding, which again gives you indication that already we're talking about something that has a lot more depth. Necessarily just the way it looks at the surface, there's something beneath the surface that really is very important. Hopefully we'll discuss a little bit what's beneath the surface of Sefiras Ha'omer as well in a few minutes. But at least on the understanding, he says, the whole root of all of Yisrael is the Torah. And because of the Torah, Hashem, the whole is created, and Yisrael as well. The Yisrael, right? So he says, and this is the reason that we were redeemed and left Egypt, in order that we should receive the Torah at Har Sinai and fulfill it. And as Hashem said to Moshe, that standing at the burning bush, and Hashem told him, listen, the sign is going to be that you're going to come and on this mountain, meaning on Har Sinai. And this is based that Har Sinai, the giving of the Torah, this is the Torah. It's so important and absolutely essential to people, to the whole world. Therefore, it is so important. And due to this, Kihi kol ikaran shel Yisrael ubavur nigulu va'alu l'kol hagedula she'alu alav nitzavinu limnos mimachras yom tov shel Pesach ad yom nesinas haTorah. We were commanded to count from the day after Yom until the day of the giving of the Torah. Laharos ben avshenu, and here we go, to actively show in our souls hachefetz hagadol el hayom hanichbad hanichsav l'li, how great of a desire to the honored day, the yearned for day, the day we're yearning to have, that's in our hearts. Ke'eved yishav tzel, like a slave who desires shade. He's working in the field. They're out there in the sun. Now here in Florida, you guys understand that very, very well. And you have the beating sun, 9 degrees, and you're out there. You're just chugging away doing your lawn work or whatever else you're doing, and boy, is it hot. And then comes some shade. Whew, that's great. And that is what he is trying to tell us, is that we, looking forward towards the Torah, it's like we're in that heat. And we're going to count continuously, when will that day come that we will be able to be Torah?
It looks like we lost Rabbi Kahn. I'm going to get him back. We're going to stop the.
When we talk about counting towards something, it's something that we desire. We're waiting and we're waiting and we're waiting, and we're counting and counting and counting and hoping and waiting until that day comes. And that shows in ourselves and puts in ourselves, as the Sefiras Ha'omer says in many, many places, that whenever you do something with action, it has a tremendous effect on you, and it can literally change your entire being. So here we are commanded to count until the day of Matan Torah, to show that intense desire for that day, for the giving of the Torah. And now he says that although it's true that we have such connection to that day, and theoretically, immediately with Pesach, right? If the whole point of leaving Yetzias Mitzrayim, the whole point of leaving Egypt was to be able to accept the Torah. So why don't you count right away? Start with the first day of Pesach. So he says, no. The first day of Pesach needs to be totally and utterly devoted to that tremendous miracle of Yetzias Mitzrayim itself, where we are able to totally focus and strengthen ourselves and our emunah in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So we start from the Korban Ha'omer. Okay, so in summary, we have this idea that Sefira is really accounting towards the giving of the Torah. That's one. Now, Rav Dessler, which is the idea that I'm going to present now, I think is a little bit deeper. Something a little bit under the surface that you wouldn't necessarily see right away. You have to dig. He explains that the number 7, again, in general, numbers are very important in Judaism, and I'm sure a person could give a class on just numbers itself and just explaining the concept, but I'm not going to do that. So he explains that 7 is a number that represents the building of spiritual purity. And when you have 7 times 7, that's building it to the highest extent, where you're trying to purify every single aspect, right? You also have 7 being connected to nature, because you have 7 days of the week, right? So that's what you have, is you have 7 as being nature and creating that spiritual building. And during this time, you're really trying to peruse through yourself and have that introspection to be able to clean out and purify every single aspect of ourselves and our character. And that's what he explains. Now, we need a continuous time for this to be able to really make sure that it sticks. Because again, as all of us know, is that if you make a quick change and it doesn't stay, it just goes away. Now, where does he get this from? He says, because in the Torah, it says a specific language of usfartem lachem, that you should count for yourselves, lachem, for yourselves. So he says that we have in other places where this uses a similar language, just in a singular form of the Safra law, where she has to count for herself by spiritual purity in those cases, where the Chazal learn that a person is believed by themselves without any corroboration. Typically, you would need outside corroboration for many things, but in this specific area, no outside corroboration. So he says by fact that there's a similar language of the Safra law for yourself. And usfartem lachem, to you, similar. So therefore we know that it's really about the internals of oneself and the real cleansing in that sense. So now we're going to get to connecting to what many people are familiar with, is when we have this idea from Rav Dessler that there's not just the waiting for the Matan Torah, it's not just the waiting for the giving of the Torah, but rather there's this expectation and hope that during Sefiras Ha'omer we take this time to really cleanse ourselves, to really do a serious analysis of ourselves, to be able to help ourselves move forward in our avodas Hashem. We can really, not fully, but begin to understand a Gemara. It's a difficult Gemara. The Gemara says, Rebbe Kiba Omer, it's in Yevamos. Rebbe Kiba Omer, Rebbe Kiba says, Lamad Torah b'yalduso, Lama Torah b'yalduso, Yilmod Torah b'ziknuso. If a person learns Torah when they are young, they should learn Torah when they're old. Hayu lo talmidim b'yalduso. Let's say he had students when he was younger. Yihi lo talmidim b'ziknuso. He should have students when they are older. Shenamar, as the pasuk says, Baboker zraz zarecha, ube'erev al tanach yadech. And in the morning you should plant your seed, and at the night, ube'erev al tanach yadech. Don't put your hand down. Don't just rest. Right. So again, learning from the pasuk that in the morning, that's the young time. When you're young, plant your seeds, and at the end, in the evening, when you're older, right, then don't stop. Al tanach yadecha. Don't let your hands rest. So that's the pasuk. So the Gemara explains. Amru, they say, Shneim asar elav zugim talmidim hayulo Rebbe Kiba. Rebbe Kiba had 12,000 pairs of students. Now it's interesting. This language is very specific. 12,000 pairs. It wasn't 24,000 because they could have just said 24,000, but they didn't. They chose 12,000 pairs of students. Rebbe Kiba mikivas ve'ad antipas, between two places. The kulan mesu beperek echad. They all died in one period of time. Mivnei shelo nagu kavod zel lezeh, because they did not respect each other. Right? At first glance, you can understand the words. It's all good, right? Rabbi Kiba says that when you're young, even if you have students and you've learned, keep teaching and learning when you're older. And the Gemara says, listen, he's got a lot of experience, right? Because he had 12,000 pairs of students, which is 24,000 students, and they all died. And then what does the Gemara say? The world was desolate. Ad Sheba Rebbe Kiva Eitzel Rabbeinu Shebedar, until Rebbe Kiva came to the wise men of the south. Vishna Allahem Rebbe Meir, Rebbe Yehuda, Rebbe Yossi, Rebbe Shimon, Rebbe Elazar ben Shemua. That he goes and he taught Rebbe Meir, Rebbe Yehuda, Rebbe Yossi, Rebbe Shimon, and Rebbe Elazar ben Shemua. Those are 5 Talmidim, 5 students. The Haim Hamidu Torah Osasha, and they stood up the Torah at that time. Okay, so now we've got like this. We have Rebbe Kiba. He says, you learned when you were young, you taught when you were young, don't stop, keep going. Why? Because he had 12,000 pairs of students who died because they did not honor each other properly. And what happened? He went to the south and he taught 5 more. And those 5 Talmidim held up the Torah. Now, this is a extremely difficult Gemara to understand because of all people, Rebbe Kiba, right? They even made a song about it. Amar Rebbe Kiba, right? Rebbe Kiba says, Zeh klal gadol b'Torah. What's Zeh klal gadol b'Torah? Ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha. You should love your friend like you love yourself. If that's the case, his own Talmidim, his 24,000 of them, they didn't get the message? I mean, Rebbe Kiva, he's the one, he says, you should love your friend like yourself. They didn't get the message, right? It's a little difficult to understand. But I believe that once we have this idea from Rav Dessler, I think we can start to scratch the surface. Again, Sefiras Ha'omer is about digging deep. It's not about the surface. You got to dig deep. And when you're digging deep, they, on their level, were not able to master that of giving each other honor enough. They didn't master it enough. They were not there yet. And to give a little bit more understanding to this, is I think we really need to look at who Rebbe Kiba and his Talmidim were. Because if one understands what happened from Rebbe Kiba, then I believe that we can understand a little bit better. Again, the Gemara said that he had 24,000 Talmidim, they all died. And then he had 5 students, right? But with the death of the 24,000, the world was desolate. That means nothing. Desert. Destruction. But came the 5 students, and they upheld the entire Torah. So you can understand what these 5 students were. Practically today, pretty much the entire Torah Shabbal Peh, the oral Torah, is from these 5 students. Right? Now you're talking about basically everything. The Gemara says in Sanhedrin, Damar Rabbi Yochanan, Stam Masnisen, that's a Mishnah. Rabbi Meir, that's one student of Rebbe Kiba. Stam Tosefta, which is an explanation of the Mishnah, it's a further expansion. The Tosefta is Rabbi Nechemia. I think he was also a student, although he's not in that list. Stam Sifra, Rabbi Yehuda, that was in the list. Sifra is halacha connected with Sefer Vayikra, which we just finished. And Stam Sifri, Rabbi Shimon. That's Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, I think. That the Stam Sifri, also halacha having to do with Sfarim of Bamidbar and Dvarim, is Rabbi Shimon. The Kulhu, and all of them are according to Rabbi Kiba. That's basically everything, pretty much. That means the vast majority of our Torah today comes from Rebbe Kiba. I mean, this is really unbelievable. You had one person who upheld 5 Talmidim, and that was it. That's basically everything. Now, I think we can understand a little bit better about why that his 24,000 students could have died because they did not honor each other properly according to their level. Again, the Torah Shabbal Peh, when you have this Masorah, this tradition that is literally passed down from person to person, all the way back to Moshe Rabbeinu. Now, just to give you an idea of what that means, person to person all the way back to Moshe Rabbeinu. I know a rabbi in Skokie Yeshiva in Chicago, and he decided to trace his Torah lineage back to Moshe Rabbeinu, and he was successful. I have his notes. He is number 130 in the line. Okay? That's what we mean, tradition, back to Moshe Rabbeinu. You can trace it. He did. And with this tradition, this is not just a regular tradition. You're talking about revelation at Sinai, the greatest revelation of Hashem ever in the history of the world. There was nothing greater to the entire world. Everybody knew. Right? There are a lot of midrashim about it. How the world thought that there was going to be a Mabul, that there was another be destruction of the world, and they went to Bilam, and Bilam said, no, he's just giving the Torah to the Jews. The fact that, the entire Jewish people saw Hashem. That's an amazing revelation. It's unbelievable. It's crazy. And this is what we connect to in a serious way. And if you're going to be the leaders, you're literally the next chain in that link of the Torah Shabbal Peh. And in those days, nothing was written to be taught from. You couldn't just grab out your Mishnah from the shelf and say, oh, this is what the Mishnah says. It was all oral. You had to be of top notch, nothing less. And they, on their level, were lacking in that area. However we fully understand it, again, it's hard, but at least this gives us an opening to be able to begin to understand. Okay. Up till now, we've discussed really 2 ideas behind Sefiras Ha'omer, and now I think we're gonna dig a little bit deeper. So until now, we've discussed how Sefiras Ha'omer is a time of introspection for ourselves to be able to fix our characters, and we should be able to work towards perfection, spiritual perfection. Additionally, it's a time where we are waiting for the giving of the Torah, because the Torah is so important to us and so unique that we just are waiting with our bated breath. We're so excited. We can't wait for the giving of the Torah. It's very exciting. So those are the two aspects. Now, there's still something that I feel like we could get better at understanding out of the Sefira, and then we would really understand an issue that I have not yet, until this year, really did not understand what the connection was, and that's the death of Rebbe Kiba's students. I mean, don't get me wrong, Rebbe Kiba's students were great, but why do we specifically mourn them during Sefira? Meaning, okay, so it might have happened during Sefira, but there are lots of bad things that happened, and typically we talk about terrible destructions to the Jewish people of magnitudes on Tisha B'Av. Like, why are we specifically mourning them during Sefira? It's a little bit, I mean, okay, it happened then, but like that doesn't necessarily always make it that we'll do it then. So I really think that there's something a little deeper going on. So to understand the point, we're going to go back to the source. And the source, of course, is the Torah. The Torah says, Hashem says to Moshe, say, speak to the Jews, and you should say to them, when you come to the land that I give to you, and you harvest the harvest, Omer, and you bring Omer, the firsts of your harvesting to the Kohen. Here's the pasuk. And you will present the Omer in front of Hashem, to your benefit, to your desire, mimacharas haShabbos. Yinifenu haKohen. Mimacharas haShabbos means, what would you think? Mimacharas means after Shabbos, right? Mimacharas haShabbos. After the Shabbos. Okay, good, right? So it sounds like after the Shabbos, you're going to present it to the Kohen. Okay, so then it talks a little bit about the sacrifice that comes along with it. It's a sheep, and you have a special mincha offering. Okay, very nice. And then it talks about what we discussed in the last two shiurim. You're not allowed to eat the new grain. Okay, so that's one pasuk. The next psukim is talking about Sefiras Ha'omer. It says, "Usfartem lochem mimacharas haShabbos," and you should count from after the Shabbos. Miyom haviachem es Omer haTorah, from the day that you brought the Omer, the presenting offering, Omer, Shava Shabbosos Timos Tien, 7 perfect weeks. Okay, so that's what we're doing, Sefiras Ha'omer. Ad mimacharas haShabbos haShvius, until after the Shabbos, the 7th one. Tisru chamishim yom v'yikravtem mincha charash halash. And then you should bring a new korban to Hashem. So, as I'm sure many of you figured out already, these words mimacharas haShabbos are quite difficult, because if you would read it simply, it says after the Shabbos. What would you think? Not knowing anything. If you would read it, you would think it's referring to Shabbos of the week, right? Because that's the word, Shabbos. That's the Shabbos of the week. That's the 7th day of the week, and that's what it is. But we know that that's not true. We know that the Omer, the Korban Omer, was brought on the 2nd day of Pesach, the first day of Chol HaMoed. Now, in Chutz La'aretz, it's outside of Eretz, so it's not the first day of Chol HaMoed, but in Israel, in the times of it's still the first day of Chol HaMoed. So it would be the 2nd day of Pesach. So what happened? So if we look in history a little bit, in the times of the second Beis Hamikdash, this was a major issue that our Chazal, our rabbis, took tremendous issue with. They made sure that everybody understood very clearly that mimacharas haShabbos in the Torah means the day after the first day of Pesach. Why? Because this is our Masorah. It was passed down from Moshe Rabbeinu all the way till the second Beis Hamikdash. And they had always brought the Korban HaOmer on the 2nd day of Pesach. But that didn't stop people from questioning. And came a new group called the Tzedukim. think in English they're called the Sadducees, right? In the times, there was a debate between the Sadducees and the Perushim. Those were where we come from. And the Tzedukim, they said, absolutely, we reject the oral Torah. We have the Torah that was given to us by God, Hashem. We don't no oral Torah. We don't do that stuff. We got the Torah. It says right there, Mimachar Shabbos. That means Sunday. That doesn't mean after the first day of Pesach. It means Sunday, right? So they always made sure to try to get the Korban Omer to be brought on Sunday. And Chazal took very strong steps to make sure that every single person knew that what that meant is after the first day of Pesach. In fact, if you look in Unkelos on the Torah, he translates it that way, that it's the day after Pesach. And if you see in the Rambam, in Hilchos Tamidim U'Musafim, where he's discussing this Korban, he talks through a little bit of the process that Chazal went through to make sure that everybody knew exactly what was going on. He says, how was this Korban brought? How was it done? Me'erev Yantiv, before Yantiv, Yotzin Shluchei Bezdin, Va'osin Oso Krichos B'Mechuv L'Karka Kidei She'yeh Noach Liktzor. They bundled up the wheat already so that it would be easy to harvest. And they would gather everybody from around the area so that it should be a big to-do. Everybody should know about it. In today's day and age, you'd put it on Facebook Live, you'd put it on Facebook, WhatsApp, every single medium, Zoom, all over the place so that everybody could see. The kotzin shows sein sorin b'shlosh anashim, and you would cut it with 3 people, with 3 baskets, with 3 sickles. Kevin shechashcha. So since it became dark, Amar lahem hakotzin l'chol ha'omdim sham. The one who would be harvesting said to everybody who was standing there, Bo hashemesh, did the sun set? Omer lohein. Bo hashemesh, omer lohein. Bo hashemesh, omer lohein. Magal zeh, this sickle? Yes. This sickle? Yes. This sickle? Yes. This basket? Yes. This basket? Yes. This basket? Yes. And if it was Shabbos, that means, let's say the day before Yantiv, the first day of Yantiv. No, the second day of Yantiv ended up being Shabbos. If the second day of Yantiv was Shabbos, so that means that night they were already preparing it and it was on Shabbos. So if it was on Shabbos, they would say, it's Shabbos today? Yeah, they would answer it. And he would say back, it's Shabbos today? Yeah. It's Shabbos today? Yeah. And then he says, I should cut it? Yeah. I should cut it? Yeah. I should cut. Now you got the idea. Everything was repeated 3 times. And the Rambam explains, why do you have to go through all this? Because of the people who are totally mistaken that left Klal Yisrael by Sheni. They left from Klal Yisrael by Sheni. Because there were those who made the mistake that they said that Mimar Chas Shabbos in the Torah means Sunday. And they knew from tradition that it was the second day of Pesach, not Sunday. And they always saw this. Hanavim, Sanhedrin, every generation. And they saw that they would bring the Korban, whether it was weekday, whether it was Shabbos, on that specific day, the second day of Pesach. Right. So then he proves a little bit more. And you see, he says, you have to know. And that's what Chazal took such care to make sure that everybody knew that it was the second day of Pesach. Is because there were those who were questioning our Masorah. Right? And he says, he even proves it. He says that it says in the Torah, like we said, that the new grain can't be eaten until after this Korban. And it says elsewhere, and they ate after the Pesach, which is the day of the bringing of the Korban Pesach, the new grains. Well, hold on a second. How could that be? I thought, according to those ones who are mistaken, that it was Sunday. So they should have waited till Sunday. Says the Rambam, you see that by fact that the Torah connects the two, that the Jews who entered the land were able to eat right after the Korban Pesach. It means that even today, the Korban Pesach, it's the second day, and you're able to eat it then. And Memar Shabbos has to mean the day after Yantiv. And he says, well, maybe you'll just say that it just happened to be that year of when they came into Eretz Yisrael, just happened to fall out that the second day was Sunday. He says that's illogical because the Torah connects it directly. So it should have indicated that. Okay, so now, besides the nice history lesson, what we see here is that the Korban Omer is a perfect example of how important and central to us our Masorah is. And it's not just this tradition. No, it's a Masorah. It's what we have connection to directly back to Moshe Rabbeinu, and we have to stand by that. And it's so important that we follow it. Chazal went to far extents to make sure that people understood that this is the reality of the Torah, is our Masorah. That's it. And you see with this that the Korban Omer is that example, because within the Korban Omer itself, you have this unclarity that there was this debate between those who came after the Masorah, and they said, forget the Masorah. It means Sunday. Isn't that what Menachas Shabbos means? And they said, absolutely not. Our Masorah says, second day of Pesach. And that's what we stuck with, and that's what they enforced with public affair. And now, I think we can understand a much better connection of Sefiras Ha'omer to the death of Rebbe Kiba's students. As we mentioned earlier, the Gemara in Sanhedrin basically lists who the regular opinion, when no name is mentioned per se, of many, if not most, of the halachic works that are in our tradition, the precursors. You have your Mishnah, Sifra, Sifrei, right, Tosefta. All of them are in the name of Rebbe Kiba. They're all based in Rebbe Kiba, all of his students. That basically means our entire Masorah is through Rebbe Kiba. There were other great Tanaim, there were other great teachers at the time, but Rebbe Kiba had a prime importance. And now I think we can understand what it means that they died. That was everything. The world was destroyed. That's what the Gemara said. Oh, Shami, it was desolate. There were other people. Didn't matter though. This was the source. The spring of water that Rebbe Kiba was sending forth was just cut off because the second step is gone. And this is the perfect time to be mourning this, because that is what the Korban Omer, the Sefiras Ha'omer, that's what it's talking about. It's the Mimachras HaShabbos. It's the day after Shabbos, which means the second day of Yantif. Why? Because of our Masorah. That's the time when we have built in that we have to know that our Masorah tells us what the Torah means. That's when we can really mourn and understand the depth of loss that we had for Rebbe Kiba's students. He was our Masorah. And that is when the best time, because that's what it's all about, is besides the waiting for the Torah and besides the self-introspection, it's that connection to Masorah. We need that connection to Masorah, and we lost it now. So now we have to mourn it now, because this is the time that we can truly understand it. So we had in Sefira both the idea that we're counting down the minutes till the giving of the Torah, the gift that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us, that keeps us going throughout the generations and gives us a unique connection to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and a framework to be able to live our lives. And when we're looking forward to this, we don't just sit by idly. We decide that we're going to have introspection and try to fix ourselves and better ourselves to the best extent that we can. And we reinforce our dedication to the Masorah. And we express this publicly with the Korban Omer, where we have all of that fanfare in the times of the Beis Hamikdash. And today we mourn the students of Rebbe Kiba. Now, with this, I think we can explain a little bit of why there is a custom of not getting married during Sefiras Ha'omer. But this idea of connecting to the Masorah, as the Shulchan Aruch says, Nagim shelo lisa isha bein Pesach la'atzeres ad lag ba'omer. There is a custom of not marrying until between Pesach and Shavuos until Lag BaOmer, because at that time Rebbe Kiva's students died. Now, obviously, the question needs to be asked: what is the connection between the death of Rebbe Kiva's students and getting married? And in fact, especially with the Gemara that we saw earlier, that Rebbe Kiba is the one who tells us, listen, don't stop having students. You would think that getting married would be very appropriate because you want to make sure to have more students, right? Especially in a time that we want to connect to our Masorah. And the best way to have students is you have more children from people who care about Torah, you'll have more students. And that's the best way to do it. So here, I think the explanation is like this, that a student is really a link. And a link in a chain has a dual purpose. It both connects to the past generation, and it also brings it to the next generation. That's what a student is. He really takes from what he has by that connection from the past generation and brings it to the next generation forward. And I believe that it's a very similar idea with marriage. Is that when you're making a new home, you're not just from me forward, you're really from me backward as well. That you are connecting back to what we had before and pulling it forward to the next generation. And this, I think, is really hidden in the words that we use for a bride and groom. Chassan and Kala. Now it's interesting because Chassan means son-in-law, and Kala means daughter-in-law. In Hebrew, there's no word for bride and groom. They borrow it, but I think it's on purpose. Is it because a son-in-law and a daughter-in-law, it's looking back. It's not looking forward only. So we say that by looking back, you're able to move forward, and that we need that connection to the Masorah to move forward. So here, where we are having this huge, tremendous loss because of the loss of the students of Rebbe Kiba, we make a similar minhag, a custom, to say we're not going to continue that connection, just like we lost that connection in memory of it. I heard that explanation, but I don't remember who explained the chassan and the kala. But I think there's a clear connection here. So with all this, both the fact that we are awaiting day by day for the giving of the Torah, which is what gives us a connection directly to HaKadosh Baruch Hu in an unprecedented way, and the fact that we have to, before we get there, we really have to introspect in ourselves and try to fix ourselves to the best of our abilities. And where we had this tremendous break in our chain of Masorah with Rebbe Kiba, where we can hopefully revamp our connection with the Masorah and Rebbe Kiba through the Torah of Rebbe Kiba that we really have. I hope that we can all use the rest of our time in Sefiras Ha'omer wisely to perfect ourselves, allowing us to make serious changes in our day-to-day connection to the Torah, to Hashem's Torah, to the Torah and our Masorah. And if we do that, then when Shavuos comes, Zman Matan Torah Seinu, the time of the giving of the Torah, we will all be able to receive the Torah to an even greater extent than before. Thank you very much, everybody, for listening. And hopefully next week, there will be another class.